What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Attack on Cowboys. Today, we have some very interesting happenings out of Oxnard as some very intriguing aspects of the Dallas Cowboys offense has already started to rear its head. We're going to discuss that. And Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs spoke to the media for roughly about 2 minutes at the conclusion of training camp day one practice, including Diggs addressing being fine and Micah Parsons making a strong statement towards Jerry Jones. And before we get into it, I want to give a special shout out to all the beat reporters out there on the scene in Oxnard, as a lot of the footage that you'll be seeing from training camp this season will be sourced from people like Patrick Walker, Tommy Yarsh, Nicole Hutchison, Nick Harris, and Joe Hoyt. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. And y'all be sure to subscribe, man. I'm trying to make it easy for y'all. I'm trying to make it to where y'all can get all of your training camp coverage in one spot, so you ain't got to be doing all that hopping around and stuff, bro. I got you. Subscribe. Shut your up. All right, I'm going to jump right into this one because we seen some very interesting things today. I am going to start with the running back room and the offense. All right, we're going to start with the offensive side of the football. Kevontae Turpin could end up being a serious threat out of that backfield if he's given a legitimate opportunity and if he's worked with to ensure that he can properly make the correct reads in a zone blocking scheme. I think as long as Kevontae Turpin understands exactly which gap to take and they only really utilize him when they're trying to take the ball outside the tackles, this man could end up being a serious weapon, and he could end up pushing the competition in that running back room in an unexpected direction. Speaking of unexpected running backs, Deuce Vaughn looks really, really fast. I know it's early in training camp. I know they can't really hit or anything yet. I know they don't have full pads or anything, but Deuce Vaughn looks really, really fast as compared to other guys out there on that field, and he looks hungry. I would not be surprised at all if he gives Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa a serious run for their money, or he forces the Cowboys to get rid of one of those veterans that they signed earlier in free agency, like a Javonte Williams and a Miles Sanders, who are currently taking first-team snaps at the start of training camp. Remember, that's going to be fluid, and the more this thing progresses, we're likely going to see a more established number one, because I think Brian Schottenheimer is definitely going to want to go into the season with an established one back and then have other guys being used towards their strengths, right? But either way, as far as the running backs go, very, very fast, man. They look way quicker than what we've had in years past. That's the one thing that's extremely noticeable just by seeing some of these handoffs in the early stages of training camp. The other thing, for instance, this play right here that you guys can kind of see on the screen right here, man, they're utilizing motion already. We're already starting to see the seeds of that motion being planted. You see CD come across on the jet sweep, and then they hand that ball off to Turpin. That is dangerous, and that is not the only play today we saw in training camp where Brian Schottenheimer is making the defense have to pay attention to not one, but two, and sometimes maybe even three very, very dangerous weapons coming across their eyes and stuff like that. That is the type of stuff that leads to an offense being successful. That's what people mean by scheming players open. It's not about drawing pretty route trees on a piece of paper or anything. It's about getting the defense to be off balance. It's about getting the defense to play a little bit slower than what they may normally play, so it's advantage offense. When you have guys like CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens, where they had CeeDee Lamb motion to the same side as George Pickens on one of those plays, and they're right next to each other, and now you have those DBs having to look at both of those damn near all-pro caliber guys. George Pickens, he's on the cusp of being an all-pro caliber guy. CD, we already know what he is. He's a top 1, 2, 3 receiver in the league. But when you have the defense having to pay attention and actually see multiple threats cross their face that they could possibly end up being responsible for, depending on what the call is, that is something that is going to naturally create advantages for your offense, and that is reason to be excited. Even in the early stages of training camp, when we haven't actually seen the pads come on yet, these are the type of things we're looking for. We're looking for, can Tyler Guyton kick out? And is he getting to the outside when he's being asked to? Yes, he absolutely is. On this play, you can see him getting up. This play right here is a perfect illustration of kind of what Brian Schottenheimer is going to bring to this team. Turpin out the backfield, CD coming across on the jet sweep motion to kind of throw the defense off, make them think twice about just fully committing to a Kevontae Turpin. Then you got Tyler Guyton coming across the middle, ready to sledgehammer somebody if they don't have their head on a swivel. This is the type of stuff that we want to see. This is what Brian Schottenheimer meant by making guys cover every blade of grass, because not only do they have to cover it physically, but they have to cover it mentally. Absolutely love what I saw at the offense today, including Dak Prescott making it point making it a point to try to get on track early with George Pickens. And that's what you want to see in the early stages of training camp. I don't mind him turning the ball over and doing anything like that. As long as it kind of cleans up the closer we get towards the season, perfectly fine. I don't mind him taking risks. That's what practice and training camp is for. It's taking risks, figuring out what you can and can't do. So throughout this whole training camp period, guys, let's not overreact to any of the quarterbacks, whether it be Joe Milton, Dak Prescott, any of these guys throwing picks, because that's what they're supposed to do in practice, is figure out what works, what doesn't work. But what is working is George Pickens and Dak Prescott. Their connection is already being established, and it's being established fairly quickly. George Pickens is clearly going to be a major weapon out there. There are certain guys that you can just see from these clips, man. You can see from these clips being posted by all these great reporters. You can see from these clips that certain guys just move a little bit differently than other guys on the field. Certain guys look stronger just coming off the tape. Certain guys just look faster just coming off the tape. Certain guys move a little bit more fluidly with a little bit more athleticism. Athleticism isn't just speed. It's your ability to stop and start and all that other stuff. Certain guys have those ticks to them that just pop off the tape. George Pickens is one of those guys, and it's already starting to show itself on the film as Dak and George have already started to establish a nice little rapport with each other. Something else that I like that we saw is they're getting Jake Ferguson moving a little bit more, right? As long as we see Jake Ferguson moving across the field or moving upfield, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see him on a Jason Witten route tree, bro. I really don't. He's too athletic. That is misusing what he is as a player. I love to see the fact that they got Jake Ferguson kind of moving across the field a little bit and getting him out in space, taking advantage of some of that athleticism that he has at that position. I know you guys are going to ask, let's get to the defensive side of the ball, and we cannot talk defense without talking Micah Parsons. He was there. He did not participate in practice today, but it wasn't because he was quote-unquote holding in. Apparently, Micah Parsons is saying he's not practicing because he has some type of back injury, okay? So he doesn't want to call himself a hold-in officially because he has a back injury, according to him. So we are going to take a listen to Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs talking to the reporters after training camp today. And let's just see what we all get from this. This is my first time hearing this. I'm hearing it with you guys. And we all about to take a listen.
Micah, how would you characterize how close you are to getting something done?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll just see how long things take, you know. That's it.
Thank you, man. Discouraged by the fact that it's taken this long?
Nice, succinct
Honestly,
answer.
yeah. When you go around the league and you see these other teams taking care of their best guys, I see TJ got taken care of. Max got taken care of. Miles got taken care of. And you got 2 years left.
Okay. I don't know. Trevon, I don't know if you're in a position to be doing this, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Micah's he's making fair points. He's making fair points, but there's also guys across the league right now still waiting to be paid. TJ Watt, he had to fight for his. Trey Henderson, he's fighting for his. There's certain guys that still having to wait to get paid now. Let's not act like the teams are just shelling that money out willy-nilly, bro. And you gotta look at those situations that those teams were in. Max Crosby, he's playing for a team that's not paying $50+ million to a quarterback and then $30+ million to a receiver, and then have all these other star players lined up to pay. The Raiders have 1 or 2 star players to pay for real. Let's be honest, man. The other guys you think like, let's just be patient. Michael, you gonna get paid, bro. Michael, you gonna get paid. You gonna get paid, my guy. Jerry ain't stupid, but you have all the reason to be frustrated, especially because you haven't been taken care of, but they're wanting you to kind of put your body on the line out there in training camp. I completely understand that.
After his deal, so it's hard to, you see a lot of people around the league going taking care of.
Micah got braces?
Wish you had something like, that same type of energy,
It's hard to not take it personally.
I wouldn't say it's hard not to take it personally.
That man got braces.
When there's a chain of events of something consistently happening over the course of years, when you kind of see it before through other players and things, so you don't take it personally when you're like, all right, it's not like I'm getting treated differently than anyone else, So I don't take it personally. I just don't understand.
All right, I will say this about that. As much as I agree with Micah, as much as I understand where he's coming from, okay, I got to be very clear. I agree with Micah. I understand where he's coming from, but you got to tread very lightly. Him and Diggs, y'all got to tread very lightly when it comes to kind of positioning yourself against the ownership so strongly. CD didn't talk a lot, didn't say much. Dak, let my agents handle that. I'm not getting involved with that. Micah, this is his first time around. He's a young guy. He's outspoken. He's going to speak his mind regardless, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. I don't want y'all to get the message misconstrued here. The thing I'm saying is you don't want to turn this into a pissing match, right? And if Jerry is looking at Diggs and Micah kind of standing up here as a united front and kind of like, we don't understand the way our ownership is working, I just don't know. It may not have the best outcome is all I'm saying. It may be something you want to think about. That's just my initial reaction to seeing that video. I mean, again, everything he said was factual. Everything he said made sense. But again, just like the stuff that Jerry was saying, so I guess it's tit for tat. You really can't get mad at Micah because same thing with Jerry. Maybe some of this stuff just doesn't need to be said. You don't want to be talking about family business out in public. It's just one of those type of things, right? But I agree with the overall sentiment that Micah has. I think he isn't saying anything that the fans aren't saying. But that's the thing. I don't think that as a player of the team, I don't know if you can necessarily adopt the mindset of that the fans have from the outside looking in as far as how the team does business. I don't know if you can do that because it kind of puts you in a bad position. It's a conflict of interest. And that's all I'm saying. But again, fair points. Very succinct. Didn't, mince his words or anything. Very fair points. Jerry was straightforward. Michael was straightforward. You got to call it what it is. You can't get mad at Michael for being straightforward. I'm just giving my opinion, my thoughts on it. That's all, y'all. And then we also got this quote right here from Micah, and this quote right here had a little bit of venom to it, man. This is some hot fire for Micah, y'all. Listen.
For each other, but stuff gets said in the media. Have you had a conversation with him after yesterday's presser?
Nah, but I'm gonna talk to him. I just thought, as a whole, like, everyone's situation is differently. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, I'm here for my teammates. I'm not here to please another grown man. I'm here for them. I want to be here with Trey, watch him rehab, watch him get on the field, watch his growth. I want to be here battling with Terrence Steele. Like, I'm here for these guys. I'm not here for him. So I think, at the end of the day, he's on the field with us. We're on the field playing the games and things like that. So I'm gonna just control my teammates, keep boosting it, and we're just gonna keep playing together.
Holy cow! Holy cow, bro! Phew! I love the message, but he is spitting some venom Mr. Jones's way, bro. Love the message, bro. His teammates are gonna love that message, I promise y'all. But sheesh. All right, Micah. All right, bro. All right. And then we had Trevon Diggs addressing the whole situation with being fined $500,000. He did say he hopes to make it back an incentive, which is very professional, perfect way to really ultimately answer that question. But his whole quote was, I didn't expect that. It kind of hurt my feelings. It's okay, though. Hopefully I make it back in incentives. He said there is no target date for his return. He said he's very happy still in Dallas, bro. All right, so, I mean, I get it, I guess. I mean, how can it hurt your feelings if it's in the contract, Trevon? If it's in the contract, it can't hurt your feelings, dog. It can't. All right, I mean, you gotta be aware of that. And if your agent didn't make you aware of how to get all of your money off of your deal, then that's your agent's bad, bro. You need to speak to your agent about that. But you can't expect Jerry to just turn a blind eye and just give you money when you aren't really, showing up as a leader as it pertains to just being there, just being present, being there with your guys, being out there on the field. Like Brian Schottenheimer said, even if you can't participate, they can have you helping guys or teaching guys so that way you can learn the system even more by being someone that has to teach it versus the person that actually has to employ it, because you just learn a different element of things doing it that way. So Trevon, man, I mean, I get it. Again, very professional way to ultimately answer it, saying, I hope I earn it back in incentives. But, I mean, bro, did you not expect? I don't know, man. It seemed like Trevon and Micah got it almost seemed like they got like a us against the world type of mentality, or us against the Cowboys type of mentality right now, or us against the front office type of mentality right now. And it's like, cool. If you need to motivate yourself that way, if that's going to help you play better football, then fine, bro. Whatever you need to do to motivate yourself to get the job done, perfectly fine with me. But you're walking in treacherous territory. Both of y'all, honestly, walking in treacherous territory, I guess outwardly questioning and challenging Jerry Jones and how they do business, when we just seen how Jerry ass, they just went off yesterday. They just went off on everybody yesterday for doing just that. And now y'all doing it? I don't know, man. It's somewhat of a conflict of interest. I'm just keeping it a buck. It's somewhat of a conflict of interest. Even if I agree with the overall sentiment and the message, which I do, I agree with what they're saying. I understand that as a fan, we've all expressed the same, very similar frustrations, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the least confrontational way to go about doing it, I guess. But hey, Jerry with the conflict, and they are with it, I guess, too. I guess this Cowboys team is all YNs. They all YNs and ONs. I guess I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. Micah Parsons said his agent, David Mulligetta, has reached out to the Cowboys front office, and specifically, he has spoken to Adam Pacifica, but things aren't moving on extension talks. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Pacifica, as I believe, is the man that came from Neighborhood Bar and Grill, like a server at the Neighborhood Bar and Grill before getting a job with the Cowboys and then somehow working his way up to be in the salary cap manager position or whatever it is that the title is. But essentially, he's the guy that works the numbers out for the salary cap for the Cowboys. So he went from server at Neighborhood Bar and Grill to that. And to hear his name being brought up as it pertains to nothing moving, nothing happening or anything like that, and David Mulligetta has reached out to Adam, and Jerry did say he's spoken to people that had spoken to David Mulligetta, so he probably spoke to Adam. Adam is probably the guy that Jerry's talking about. So Adam is the middleman here, and we're not blaming Adam or anything, but if his job is to make the numbers work, and he's supposed to bring it to Jerry and company and make it make sense and say, hey, we can do this, hey, we can't do this, or hey, doing this will put us here, doing this will put us here. He could be a lot of the reason for why things are moving so damn slow with the Cowboys and their whole entire contract situation. It might not even be a situation where the Joneses are intentionally just trying to move super slow. They may be having to move slow because people that they've employed for certain positions are telling them it is requiring them that amount of time to make sure that the moves that they're trying to make are okay to make for the salary cap. Adam Pacifica, I have my eye on you, brother. I got my eye on you because, again, I believe you the dude came straight from Neighborhood Bar and Grill as a server and went straight into the organization. And in a couple of years, you ended up being in a salary cap manager position. So very interesting little nugget there. And I want to wait to see what the rest of the story is from Joe Hoyt before we dive too much into that. Because we may have to revisit who he is and kind of his role he plays with the organization here to kind of loop fans in on this thing. But just the interesting nugget there. And then the last real quick thing I want to talk about is pertaining to the defense, man. Mozzie Smith. Apparently, Brian Schottenheimer is saying that Mozzie Smith will still be a one-tech defensive tackle, but he will get some three-tech opportunities. He said, quote, he's lighter, he looks great. So they are planning to use Mozzie Smith in more of a flex role this year on that defensive line. So that leads me to believe that they're going to need a true one-tech. And that means at some point, they got to go out and get a real true one-tech. If they already know that Mozzie's going to have to flip-flop between the two, and he's not heavy enough, and he's even lighter than he was last season, they got to get a true big back to fill that role. And this just kind of lends some more credence to the idea that, man, Mozzie just might not be a good fit for what this defense and what this team actually needs. He just might not be the correct player. They may have just missed on that, and it may not be a developmental thing. It just may be a functional system thing. It may be a systematic thing for him as it pertains to how he fits with this damn defense, man, because I'm going to actually revisit something that Greg Ellis brought up like a week ago, and we're going to talk about that, but I'm going to give it a little bit of time. I want to see how Mozzie's performing before we kind of peel the onion back on that particular story, right? But either way, that is the meat of all the stuff that was going on today in training camp. Obviously, we're going to get more player interviews and stuff like that come out. Be sure to stay locked into the channel because obviously I'm going to have coverage on all of that stuff come out. Either if it's not done by the rest of the night, then guess what? You definitely going to see it when you wake up in the morning. Everything that you could have possibly missed from day one. And then we're also going to have that live show that we're going to be doing to recap day one and then preview day two tomorrow of training camp. Either way, appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.